class, we're going to be learning about radical equations. A radical equation is an equation that has a radical sign or a square root sign. That's this symbol. There are some steps to solving these equations. First, we want to get that square root on one side by itself. And then we want to square both sides and then solve. So go ahead and write these steps down in your notes. We're going to work an example out. Okay, so the first thing it says to do is to get that square root by itself. This problem already has that done. The next thing it says to do is to square both sides. So I'm actually going to take both sides of the equation and square them. Anytime I have a square root and a square, they cancel out. And I'm just going to be left with what's inside the square root. And then I have 4 squared on this side. And if you went to your calculator and you did 4 squared or 4 times 4, it's 16. It's really important that you remember to square both sides here. Okay, now it's a normal little linear baby equation, and we just need to solve for x. Since this is 2 times x, I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm left with x equals 8. And I'm done. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. They are not much harder, just a little bit. It's important for you to notice on these. The x plus 2 is inside the square root, but the plus 5 is not. So that first step that said get the square root by itself means I need to take care of that plus 5. I can't just say that this is the square root of x plus 7 equals 12. That doesn't work. I can't add 2 and 5. 2 is under the square root, 5 is not. So the first thing I do is pretend that this was my variable and I'm adding 5. I need to subtract 5 from both sides so that this cancels and 12 minus 5 is 7. And I bring down the square root. Now it's set up just like the last one, where I can go in, I can square both sides, square root and square cancel, I'm left with x plus 2 equals 7 squared, which is 49. And here all you have to do is subtract that 2. So x is 47. Okay, here. I add 5 to both sides. Up here it was plus 5, so I subtracted. This second problem is minus 5. It's not under the square root, so I'm adding 5 to both sides. It cancels. 2 plus 5 is 7. And the left is square root of 2x minus 6. Same as before. Square both sides. 2x minus 6, because my square root and square cancel, equals 49. A couple more steps here, but still not bad. Add 6 to both sides. 2x is 55. Divide by 2. You can leave this as 55 over 2, 55 halves. Or you can get 27.5 when you actually divide it. Take a few minutes and try these 4 problems on your own. These are homework, and I will be taking these up tomorrow. And the last thing I want you to think about is this problem. You can start off by just solving it like the rest. There's a plus 6, so I need to subtract. Square root of x minus 4 equals negative 5 minus 6 is negative 11. And then I can square both sides. X minus 4. Remember, negative 11 squared, when you type that in your calculator, you have to put negative 11 in parentheses. Or just remember it's negative 11 times negative 11, and a negative times a negative is a positive. So this should be equal to 121. Okay, not a big deal. Add 4 to both sides. X is 125. One thing we haven't been doing is plugging in our solutions and making sure they work, and you definitely can do that. If I plug this one back in, then I'm saying 125 minus 4, take the square root of that, add 6, and it should equal negative 5. Well, if I take 125 minus 4, I get 121. If I take the square root of 121, I get 11. But 11 plus 6 is 17. It is not negative 5. Anytime this happens, it's called an extraneous solution. We saw it last week with the rational equation, It's extraneous if it doesn't work. But here's a place that you could have seen it was going to be extraneous without even solving. Back at this step, we had that the square root of something was going to be a negative number. That was kind of a red flag for us, because when we take the square root of a number, we get a positive. So getting a negative is not possible. So this told me we were going to have an extraneous solution. And anytime you get extraneous solution, you can just write no solution to the problem. Okay, that wraps up our lesson on radical equations. Tomorrow I'll be checking those 4 problems, so if you need to go back and pause it to write those down, try your best to work them through, and if you have any questions, you can email me tonight or write them down for tomorrow.